As a business owner and investor, we might be used to the thought that every dollar possible should be reinvested. Therefore, we should work really hard and at the same time live very frugally. And while this might work to a certain degree of building a net worth, at a certain point we might need to shift our strategy. Perhaps we've been used to living in a super small apartment, for example, to be able to save as much money as possible to reinvest in our company or in the stock market. But could it be that an alternative method could give us even higher returns? At some point we will come to the realization that our own happiness plays a huge part in the result of our business and how much money we are able to set aside for investments. It was not until a friend pointed out to me that I made all my sales during just a couple days of the month that I started thinking about this. And usually during these days, that was my happiest days of the month. So then I started thinking about, was it that these sales made me extra happy? Or was it that I was able to make those sales because I was in a happy mood and that had an effect on the sales calls? And the answer I came up with was that it became a snowball effect of positivity. So both things actually affected each other. So maybe something happened that made me extra happy one day. Maybe a customer got in contact with me sharing how much they liked my services, or maybe I had gone to a dinner the night before with my girlfriend or stayed in a hotel or something, so that I was in an extra relaxed, happy, generous state. And these feelings of happiness enhanced the sales calls and made the prospect even more attracted to my services and my product. So that's why I made the sale. When I made the new sale, I got in a really happy mood because I just made a sale. And that made a second sale even more possible during the next couple days. So for me, this often resulted in me making most of my sales in just a couple of days. For example, 80% of the sales of the month in 2 or 3 days. And then I started noticing that this also happened for other people. I was coaching a fitness coach who was getting new clients for his fitness service. So he was having both training sessions face-to-face, but also was sending them daily messages to remind them to stay on track with their food habits and their exercise. And this guy, he wanted feedback on his sales process in his company. So I asked him, when you have made a sale, was there something you did before or the night before you made the sale? Then he said that, actually, it usually happens after I've gone out to eat with my girlfriend or have had a date night with my girlfriend. Then it hit me like a lightning. It's not just me this happens to. Maybe it affects all people who are in business or sales. Someone described having one's own business as one day you're looking at Ferraris online and a couple days later you are in the store looking for the cheapest rice and beans, because results vary so much. You don't have an even income, but income tend to be concentrated to a few good days, and the rest you tend to have very low sales. So this might also result in us having a few days where we're super confident about our ability and our business, and other days when we are spiraling down into negativity and doubt. And we might also see longer cycles of this. If the economy enters into a recession, for example, we might hit a long period of not making any sales. And this might create a sense of not being good enough, a sense of not believing in ourselves, not believing in our business, for example. We might start tell our friends that, my offer doesn't work any longer, business doesn't work. So we confirm this belief by telling stories about how it doesn't work any longer. And this further puts us into this negative spiral of doubt. But what if we could plan events that create these moments of happiness that could break this cycle? And it turns out that rich people are actually really doing this. They're really successful at doing this. And if we study them, we can get some clues on how we could do that ourselves. When observing rich and upper middle class people, it turns out that they are really experts at this. They go on weekly date nights with their spouses. They go to concerts, to the cinema. And they also have small habits in their everyday lives, like telling jokes to each other or small things that brighten up their day. I also found that they are masters of delegating tasks that make them unhappy, like cleaning, mowing their lawns, mundane tasks of hard work like this. They would much rather spend the money to free up their own time and energy to be doing things that make them happy and that contribute to their growth. And these small changes give them an edge as a business owner and in their work life. So let's say you have reached a net worth of somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000. Congratulations, very well done. And probably you have had some very frugal habits that has led to this. So does it make sense to keep these habits of extreme frugality, or could it be that adopting a more generous lifestyle and investing more in your own happiness could even speed up the process of growing your net worth? Chances are that it could. If you have reached a net worth of $100,000 and you have invested that in the stock market, that gives you an annual return of 7 to 10%. That will make your returns be around $7,000 to $10,000. Congratulations, good job. So, and chances are that you have had very frugal habits that has enabled you to do this. Maybe you have lived in the cheapest possible apartment, you have been eating very simple food, avoiding going out to eat, these types of things. Living a simple lifestyle to be able to reach this milestone in your net worth. But would it make sense to keep these habits, or could it be that investing more in your own happiness could even speed up the process now of growing your net worth? For example, moving into a nicer apartment, eating out once a week, for example. Let's say you've been able to put aside 10 to 20,000 per year by living extremely frugally. But what if upgrading your lifestyle could mean that now you could invest and put aside 20 to 30 to $40,000 per year? This might not make sense, but let me explain how this works. If you make most of your sales during your happy days in a month, and you're used to making 2 or 3 sales, what if you invested more in your own happiness and that enabled you to make instead 4 or 5 sales per month? So investing a little bit in your own happiness, upgrading how you live, eating out with your spouse or your girlfriend once a week, what if that enabled you to have more happy days and make more sales? Oftentimes this additional revenue could be added directly to the bottom line since your overhead costs are already paid. So that's why it also can really make sense to do this. It could also be that if you're happier, more of your existing customers want to buy more of your services because they simply feel good around you and they want to have more of that. They want to spend more time with you. So they buy more of your services. Have you ever wondered how rich people seem to live in a completely different world of abundance, happiness, and where they seem to just attract opportunity? This is how that works. This principle explains how that works, because happiness tend to generate more business and more prosperity for them. They have really understood the positive spirals of abundance. And while most people are stuck in scarcity, wondering if their money will last and cover all their expenses, rich people really plan in those happy activities that bring out happiness and more generosity in their life. So how do we step into this world of more money than we can handle, this world of abundance? And how do we break the habits of frugality that we have, that has brought us the results in the first place of reaching 100,000 in net worth, for example? And chances are that this can be really tricky because we have associated frugality with giving us freedom, giving us a growing net worth. Maybe we have worked in a job and the boss complained to us all the time and was using power strategies or games to control us. And now when we have this sense of freedom when we can say no to a job like that. We are really scared to start spending money because we associate spending money with needing to go back to that situation. So it might be really painful spending money because we associate saved money with our own freedom. And chances are we also see the potential future returns of that dollar when we spend it. If we spend $50 on a meal out, we don't see that $50, we see the $500 of future potential returns that we have just spent. Or if we spend $20 on a haircut, we see the $200 potential return on the future. But what if we, instead of seeing them as expenses, we start seeing them as investments in our own happiness account, which bring 10x returns and results already this week, this month? That has a huge upside compared to 7 to 8 to 10% annually. What if we can see a 50 to 100% return already this week or the next month? And these habits I've found are very common among people who have built their own wealth and built a brand of themselves. They have these traits of generosity and habits of generosity. So they're very interesting to observe. People who have inherited their wealth, on the other hand, they are much more stuck in this frugality. They are really scared of ruining and spending their family's wealth. So they are usually stuck in this conserving mode, not spending any money, because they have never needed to build their own net worth. They have just inherited it, so they are stuck in conserving it. And that's why some of these people who have inherited their wealth, they are stuck in this super frugality, and then people start saying negative things about them behind their back. And that to me is also a huge why we should not keep these super frugal habits, but start to develop these habits of generosity, because that can really both speed up our process of building net worth and building our brand, and also it will kind of be an assurance to our own brand that we build in some likability into it, because people tend to not like this super frugality. So I hope this can be an eye-opener on why you should invest in your own happiness account, your own 10x return account, why you should be generous towards the right people, as I usually say, and how the principles behind it, why it works, and why you maybe should start losing some of those super frugal habits that have brought you some wealth in the first place. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next week.